Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for this opportunity to speak today. As I've always said, I'm from Balfour Beatty and I head up digital project delivery. The world is changing at the moment in time. Technology is arriving every single day. But the one key thing which we've heard today from the ICE, we need to be thinking about the new generation of people that have come into the industry. We need to be training them early and educating them in this new technology to move forwards. One key thing in Balfour Beatty at the moment in time on all our projects we talk about is a common language. As this is the last session, I'm going to engage with everyone to make sure everyone's still awake in the room and work with me on this one. Picture an X in your head. Travel 1 mile south, travel 1 mile east, and travel 1 mile north. Are you back where you started? Is the question. In a three-dimensional world, if you did exactly what I said, you would be back where you started. There's a new evolution happening in the last sort of 7 years at the moment in time and use of digital and use of 3D design, trying to understand better what we're actually building on a construction site before we actually get there, making sure our designs and that are not hindering us when we get out to site. Just to make us a bit more hungry, here's a stack sandwich. I'm not sure if there's any bananas in there. But if I crossed through the middle of there, what do I get? I'll get one piece of information, one piece of data. If I put it on its side and also went through the middle there, I'll get more information about what is actually there in front of me. And this is the key for the industry at the moment in time. We need to think about not just the 3D, but about the information which we're collecting and gathering through various objects which we build every day of the week to hand back to yourselves as maintainers, as we've just heard, to let you maintain the asset. One of my beginning jobs in Balfour Beatty career was working on Blackfriars Bridge. We was Balfour Beatty. We was constructing the new Blackfriars station. But then we had here, we had the Thames, was it client? And then we had Network Rail across the top. Network Rail called it span 1, span 2, span 3, span 4, span 5. And then on the Thames, we called it channel 1, channel 2, channel 3, channel 12, channel 5. Only 1 in 5 chance of getting it right. So if we talk about this integration piece, which we've heard today, we all need to talk a common language between us all. Our interface between local councils, our interface between Highways England, Heathrow Airport, Gatwick, Southampton. We need to have this common language so we can plan this work more efficiently to not disrupt the travelling people every single day. Because this type of thing happens. Bad incident coming out of Paddington. This happened because there was a safety system. If this train went through a red light, it would literally push it off the track to slow it down. Looking at the design, they built a gantry 25 metres in front of it. So what's going to happen? It's going to pick up the train, push it off, and knock down. Paddington was stopped for about 2 days. It's these things we need to start looking at and engaging with, and actually looking at our designs, looking at our infrastructure to make sure it works. Then we have the silly ones here. We've got the new electrification works, and you've got a sign behind it. These things happen on site. Then we also trying to talk about the common language on seeing what button do I press on a wall. How do we actually talk to the maintainers in the room and hand this information back to better maintain the asset going forward? So smarter working's key. We've just heard about it from Keith. This is a comms duct at the moment in time. Looking at off-site manufacture. Big key things at the moment in time. We heard from Kathy and that this morning about delivering at pace. It's key to start looking at how we can do these things off-site to literally drop and install quickly and efficiently on site. Here, you can actually see it being dropped in, but it's all started off looking at these prototypes in 3D, looking at design. How can we do this? Looking at the various areas now that we've actually got to work in and taking out the processes on site. This actual operation actually takes around about 32 different activities. Build off-site, drop in a hole, done. So we start looking at reduction time on site to deliver smarter and quicker. Another one here. Reducing the footprint on sites as well. Normally, this would be double the amount of size of footprint to help maintain the asset. But now we're talking to Highways England on different ways on how we can reduce the footprint to reduce the costs for yourselves in installing cabinets and chambers on site. Again, an MS4. So here we're looking at, takes 12 days or 11 days normally to install one of these on site. If we take the good innovations which come from Heathrow T2B and we start looking at plunge columns, 2-day operation. There's lots of things out there in industry at the moment in time to make us quicker, faster and cheaper, and we just need to get it out into construction. But also though, this is an operation which happens on every single job, is cutting the actual break in between here for expansion. We look at different places around the world in Germany, and there's actually a machine which does this for us. Taking out this human being out of this operation and actually doing this, where he's got his mask on, he's got his ear defenders on, he's being put at harm. So how can we reduce that and take that person out of the actual operation? One last one, the case studies on the efficiency side of things. Normally on piling systems, we would do sheets that are full length and depth. Now we've looked at various things with the designer and reducing 70% use of steel on site. That's taking out the actual material, but also the installation process has gone quicker as well. So all these things are trying to get us to go cheaper, faster, quicker to improve on site. So looking forward to the world at the moment in time, digital. We at Balfour Beatty are looking at various different things to basically implement onto our projects on all your jobs at the moment in time. I started off my career doing laser scanning. Here, basically takes 100,000 points a second to understand what the real world is. So that's a key thing. Ask yourself the question, how well do I know my asset at the current moment in time? This is the key thing to help basically take this data, Olympic Park of the building, I'll talk about the graves in a minute, but this is key, understanding what you've got. Up on the A63 in Hull, we had a burial site to actually excavate before we'd done construction work. They used to be on site with an archaeologist with a pad and pen and go head, shoulders, knees and toes. That's what they did, and drew it like a stick man on their screen. And it took hours. Actually, if we had a laser scanner on site, we would scan it in a matter of moments, but to take the bodies out, transfer them to where they need to go in a matter of minutes. It's speeding up the processes. We heard from Ray earlier on about his gas main through the middle of his market. So here on this job, we was building a grid infrastructure, but then nowadays you can use ground penetrating radar, which is a machine on the back of a vehicle to detect what is below ground. What are the key risks at the moment in time in our industry? Hitting services. What are we talking about today? The public. These are key things to knowing to reduce these risks so we don't knock these out. Technology is available today to collect this information. The use of drones as well to pick up aerial photography and progress reporting. Inspections. Things which actually don't let us disrupt the public on an everyday basis can be used at the moment. So here at the moment in time, and on sort of one of our jobs on the A21, which is down in Kent, we had stockpiles of materials. We need to know how much stock have we got. So here we'll fly a drone around the actual area, taking photographs. These photographs would create a 3D model of the actual area or asset, and then we can measure around this. We wouldn't send the surveyor out with a total station and just pick it up. This will basically be done in a matter of 5 minutes by flying a drone. These are the stockpile volumes. So we start looking at Lower Thames Crossing later on, huge earthworks and muck shift. But if we use this technology, we'll be able to know more and better understand everyday processes. So moving this on, that was the actual existing capture of the world. Now we move on to design. Here's a smart motorway scheme, as we've heard today, all done in 3D, all 22 different disciplines, all modelled there. The traditional way is in 2D. Now in 3D, we can spot clashes and errors before we get to site and iron these out. I'm an open, honest person. We had 8,300 clashes on a design on the M6 junction 2 to 4. This here basically mitigated down to 200 clashes, and they was classified to do things on site. Well, skip that, please. So on the 4D side of things, you take a 3D model, You then look at this, and then basically you stitch the program. Balfour Beatty are currently training every single one of his planners up and every single site engineer on site to take the 3D model and link to their P6 program, which is their master program, but also their 3 weekly programs. This lets you do the dress rehearsal. This lets you test the things before you get to site. It's key to basically find out what things are going to happen before we get there. We've heard that from Ed as well earlier on. We've basically partnered with Google a few times to develop some hackathons on some problems in industry. It's what we could all do. We've got Siemens here today as well. They've got the technology, we've got the problems. Can we solve these things together going forward in the industry? So some of the things we've looked at: tracking of assets, tracking of movement around site. A key thing for Balfour Beatty at the moment in time: defect-free delivery, getting it right first time. These are the key things which we need to do to move forward. What if you can take your design out on site is the key picture at the moment in time. So here in this video, we're using the Microsoft HoloLens, which is a pair of glasses, and you are overlapping the real world, the outside world, and your design. So out on site, we've got the hard hat on. You've also got the goggles on at the moment in time. And there is my 3D design, my 4D sequence. I'm standing on site and seeing it actually happen before my eyes. These are the things we started to get into now, to look at the safety aspects, to look at what we can do in making sure we do it right first time, do it safely on a construction site. Skip. And there's an installation of a bridge structure on the A21. And here is updating progress reporting out on site. And that updates the P6 program by clicking on an asset and then pushing it back to the P6. Very powerful tools and very powerful innovations to drive forward. The key thing is, in the future, is wearable technologies. We're developing this at the moment in time. Could be a watches to get information, could be the goggles. Because what we had earlier on from Martin Tigwell was, what does the future of construction actually look like in 2050? Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you very much, Harry. Thanks, Harry.